Ésulie, je te chante, Ésulie, maîtresse femme, femme ventre, femme. La rosée fait banda, tout ton soleil pas levé. La rosée fait banda, tout ton soleil pas levé. La rosée fait banda, tout ton soleil pas levé. La rosée fait banda, tout ton soleil pas levé. La rosée fait banda, tout ton soleil pas levé. La rosée fait banda, tout ton soleil pas levé. Oh, oh, Ezili nanano, di Ezili nanano, sentiment remonté, Sénégas tout côté. Ezili nanano, di Ezili nanano, mon sentiment peut monter, mon Sénégas tout côté. La rosée fait banda, tout ton soleil va lever. La rosée fait banda, tout ton soleil va lever. La rosée fait banda, tout ton soleil va lever. La rosée fait banda, ton soleil va lever. La rosée fait banda, ton soleil va lever. La rosée fait banda.
Bougmano Nombre caïman. Nous l'emmenons, nous pas détourner. Nombre caïman. Papa Boukmano, nous gagne assez. Papa Boukmano, nous rive dans tout bouton, pays nous divisé, la famille dos à dos. Ou pas te faire, moi, caïman.
C'est toujours le Zaza qui fait le diamant. Donc, moi, dans l'espace côté statut Boukmano, c'est un espace que nous avons préparé pour nous faire des bagages sociaux. Dans nos Vodun haïtiens, dans l'espace à côté de nous. Donc, il y a un bloc sanitaire sous lui. Et en face de nous, là, c'est le statut. Donc, présence de nous, ça fait une vision pour nous de ce que nous choisissons de travail pour nous. Il n'a pas cadré l'histoire. C'est le travail que ça nous fait pour l'autre capillon capable de connaître qui ça.
Papa Boukmano,
donc nous pouvons regarder vision et sanitaire et puis nous allons dans le après nous sortir. Merci.
La famille dos à dos, ou pas te faire moi caïman, pour ne servir étranger.
C'est toujours M. Zaza, représentant de la Kouba Kaïma. Donc, moi, en face, Natal Brise Montagne, qui c'est grotte là. Donc, actuellement, nous devons grotte là, nous avons rentré en dedans grotte là. Donc, là, c'est le lieu de trésor caché pour les esclaves. C'est là, esclaves étaient pour en naissance de dormir, lever, petit en dedans grotte ça. Donc, c'est mémoire. Nous, et c'est lieu de trésor caché pour les esclaves. C'est là Estavio, t'es plus bon. Parce que la capacité mystique que nous avons en dedans de ça, les colons français qu'on vient à chercher.
Avutaï, Bila, on a fâché côté chita.
Goulon à poil rentrer. Madjani cherche côté de l'eau à goulon à poil rentrer. Goulon à poil rentrer. Madjani cherche côté de l'eau à goulon à poil rentrer. Jean-Wem, j'ai déclaré un sous l'eau à poil rentrer. Jean-Wem, dressé bébé sous l'eau à poil rentrer. Madjani cherche côté de l'eau à goulon à poil rentrer. Jean-Wem, j'ai déclaré dans son loi à poil rentrer. Madjani cherche côté de l'eau à poil rentrer. Marché! Mon loi à poil rentrer. Madjani cherche côté de l'eau à poil rentrer. En moué Roland Gajo. Mon loi à poil rentrer. Madjani cherche côté de l'eau à poil rentrer. Jean-Wem, casse le bébé à son loi à poil rentrer. Jean-Wem, je t'écrirai à son loi à poil rentrer. Madjani cherche côté de l'eau à poil rentrer. En moué son loi à gain pour l'entrée. Madjani cherche côté de l'eau à poil rentrer. Gagne un loi à poil rentrer. Madjani cherche côté de l'eau à poil rentrer. Jean-Wem tracé bébé à son loi à poil rentrer. Jean-Wem je déclare dans son loi à poil rentrer. Madjani cherche côté de l'eau à poil rentrer. Chantez! Mon loi à poil rentrer. Madjani cherche côté de l'eau à poil rentrer. En moué au sasaye. Mon loi à poil rentrer. Madjani cherche côté de l'eau à poil rentrer. Jean-Wem placé bébé à son loi à poil rentrer.
Machine.
Jean-Wem je déclaré à son loi à poil rentrer. Madjani cherche côté de l'eau à poil rentrer. Eh, piqué yo cette fois. À moi beaucoup pera yo, moi piqué yo.
Machine.
Piqué yo cette fois. À moi merci li d'entendre, moi piqué yo. Marché à couteau dans mes mots. Marché à couillon dans mes mots. Je l'aime mi bagay mo, ma piqué yo. Oui. Piqué yo cette fois. Ma pique que au soufflé. Pique cette fois. Avant mon coupé là, ma pique que. Ma j'ai tout dans mes ma j'ai rien dans mes je l'ai mis par les mots. Ma pique que. Tiens, pique cette fois. Ma pique que yo. Ma j'ai pour y en
Okay, here we go. As my mama used to say, that now we're cooking with Crisco here. Black August 2004 for Kilo Nyasha. The Honorable Frederick Douglass, former U.S. Minister to Haiti, among other things, said back in January of 1893 the following. Among these large bodies, the little community of Haiti, anchored in the Caribbean Sea, has had her mission in the world, and a mission which the world had much need to learn. She has taught the world the danger of slavery and the value of liberty. In this respect, she has been the greatest of all our modern teachers, he said. It was a sweaty, steaming night in August when a group of African captives gathered in the forest of Mont Rouge in Le Cap, Saint-Domingue. It was August 1791. Among these men was a voodoo priest, Papalois Boukman, who preached to his brethren about the need for revolution against the cruel slave drivers and torturers who made the lives of the African captives a living hell. His words, spoken in the common tongue of Creole, would echo down the annals of history and cannot fail but move us today, 213 years later. He said, "The God who created the sun, which gives us light, who rouses the waves and rules the storm, though hidden in the clouds, he watches us. He sees all that the white man does. The God of the white man inspires him with crime, but our God calls upon us to do good works. Our God, who is good to us, orders us to revenge our wrongs. He will direct our arms and aid us. Throw away the symbol of the God of the whites, who has so often caused us to weep, and listen to the voice of liberty, which speaks in the hearts of us all." The rebellion of August 1791 would eventually ripen into the full-fledged Haitian Revolution, lead to the liberation of the African Haitian people, to the establishment of the Haiti Republic, and the end of the dreams of Napoleon for a French-American empire in the West. 2 centuries before the Revolution, when the island was called Santo Domingo by the Spanish Empire, historian Antonio de Herrera would say of the place, quote, "There is so many Negroes in this island as a result of the sugar factories that the land seems an effigy or an image of Ethiopia itself," unquote. Haiti was the principal source of wealth for the French bourgeoisie. In the decade before the Boukman Rebellion, an estimated 29,000 African captives were imported to the island annually. Conditions were so brutal and the work was so backbreaking that the average African survived only 7 years in horrific sugar factories. In 1804, Haiti declared independence after defeating what was the most powerful army of the day, the Grand Army of France. Haiti's founding father, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, at the Haitian Declaration of Independence proclaimed, quote, "I have given the French cannibals blood for blood. I have avenged America," unquote. With their liberation, Haitians changed history, for among their accomplishments, 1, it was the first independent nation in Latin America. 2, it became the second independent nation in the Western Hemisphere. 3, it was the first black republic in the modern world. And 4, it was the only incident in world history of an enslaved people breaking their chains and defeating a powerful colonial force using military might. What did independence bring? It brought the enmity and anger of the Americans, who refused to recognize their southern neighbor for 58 years. In the words of South Carolina Senator Robert Hayne, the reasons for U.S. non-recognition were clear. He said, "Our policy with regard to Haiti is plain. We never can acknowledge her independence. The peace and safety of a large portion of our union forbids us even to discuss it." In many ways, Black August, at least in the West, begins in Haiti. There's the blackest August possible, revolution and resultant liberation from bondage. For many years, Haiti tried to pass the torch of liberty to all of her neighbors, providing support for Simón Bolívar in his nationalist movements against Spain. Indeed, from its earliest days, Haiti was declared an asylum for escaped slaves and a place of refuge for any person of African or American Indian descent. On January 1st, 1804, President Dessalines would proclaim, "Never again shall colonist or European set foot on this soil as master or landowner. This shall henceforward be the foundation of our Constitution." It would be U.S., not European imperialism that would consign the Haitian people to the cruel reign of dictators. The U.S. would occupy Haiti and impose their own rules and dictates. After their long and hated occupation, Haitian anthropologist Ralph Triot would say it improved nothing and complicated almost everything. Yet that imperial occupation does not wipe out the historical accomplishments of Haiti. During the darkest nights of American bondage, millions of Africans in America, in Brazil, in Cuba, and beyond could look to Haiti and dream. For Black August, this is Mumia Abu Jamal.
These commentaries are produced by Noel Hanrahan for Prison Radio.
George Jackson, age 29, California Adult Authority inmate A63837, imprisoned January 12, 1960. Offense, second-degree robbery.
Convicted of stealing $72 from a petrol station, Jackson had a juvenile record. He was advised to plead guilty to get a lighter sentence.
Sentence 1 year to life. Term served 11 years, 7 months, 7 years in solitary confinement.
1 to life means the convict is eligible for parole each year, subject to the judgment of a parole board. Jackson was refused parole 8 times.
January 1970. Charged with the murder of a prison guard. Future, if convicted, death row.
With 2 fellow prisoners, Jackson allegedly killed a prison guard in reprisal for the shooting of other convicts. The 3, George Jackson, Fleeta Drumgo, and Jean Cliché, became known as the Soledad brothers.
August 21st, 1971, San Quentin. 3 guards and 2 prisoners killed in an alleged escape attempt. George Jackson shot dead.
Time seems to be passing much faster these last few months. Wondering where it's running to, what's building. Well, I'm positively displeased, and I'm positively destined to remain so. Someone may have to get hurt, but power to the people. George. Fear, the emotion that stiffens and inhibits the mind of most men, causing them to be incapable of acting in their defense at the moment of trial, is totally lacking in me. I could look upon my total ruin with as detached and unconcerned as I look upon theirs. The payment for life is death.
I wish I could share all
George Jackson went to prison a rebellious 19-year-old black. 11 years inside, most of the time locked alone in a cell for 23.5 hours a day, turned him into a revolutionary. In a series of letters from prison, Jackson recorded his developing insight into the conditions of his country and people. Their publication made him famous. They became a vital text for black revolutionaries in America. Extracts are read during this film by an actor.
I've surrendered all hope of happiness for myself in this life to the prospect of effecting some improvement in our circumstances as a whole. I have a plan. I will give and give and give of myself until it proves our making or my end. There's no turning back from awareness. If I were to alter myself now, I would always hate myself. I would grow old feeling that I'd failed an obligation and duty that is ours once we become aware. I would die as if most of us blacks have died over the last few centuries without having lived.
18 months before he was killed, George Jackson joined the Black Panther Party, the final stage in his political development. The Black Panther Party is the most militant black revolutionary group in America, a small force of armed and angry blacks dedicated to changing America at whatever cost to white society or to themselves. Imprisonment and death are familiar to them. Most of their leaders, including co-founders Huey Newton and Bobby Seale, have spent long periods in prison. Many of their members are dead. The events surrounding George Jackson's death in San Quentin remain unclear. This film does not attempt to explore them, but the Panthers insist he was murdered by prison guards. Many of the black community cannot accept that such a man would have died in a pointless escape attempt. This film records the mood surrounding his funeral among his own people. For them it was a political event, to be commemorated with music, poetry and speeches. For the Jackson family, violent death is not new. Only last year, Jonathan Jackson was killed during an attempt to force the release of his brother George.
From the book of the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 3, verses 2 through 6. And a certain man, lame from his mother's womb, was carried, whom they laid daily at the gate of the temple, to ask alms of them that entered into the temple, who, seeing Peter and John about to go into the temple, asked for alms. And Peter, looking at him with John, said, "Look on us." And the beggar gave heed unto them, expecting to receive something from them.
If I leave here alive, I'll leave nothing behind. They never count me among the broken men, but I can't say that I'm normal either. I've been hungry too long. I've gotten angry too often. I've been lied to and insulted to too many times. They've pushed me over the line from which there can be no retreat. I know they won't be satisfied until they push me out of this existence altogether. I can still smile sometimes, but the time, when this thing is all over, I may not be a nice person. I just lit my 77th cigarette of this 21-hour day.
C'est la mort, c'est la mort, c'est la mort, c'est la mort.
Tu es africain, tu ne peux pas. Non, impossible. Tu ne peux pas ne pas l'aimer. Yes! Ce jeune et capitaine Traoré fait la fierté du peuple africain. Oh, allez, tenez. Il vient d'exiger aux terroristes de choisir entre ces deux options. De déposer les armes ou bien de mourir. Abonne-toi, c'est gratuit. Il donne plus rien aux terroristes. Voici ces mots.
Nous avons donné une chance. Nous avons donné une chance aux terroristes de déposer les armes. Aux terroristes de déposer les armes. Ceux qui ont compris, ont compris. Ceux qui n'auront pas compris le message, il n'y a qu'une seule chose. C'est la mort. c'est la mort. Parce que nous allons leur donner la mort.
Ton leadership est vraiment inspirant. Tu as montré une détermination et une résilience incroyables dans ta lutte pour sauver le Burkina Faso. Like si tu aimes l'Africain. Tu as travaillé sans relâche, faisant face à tous les défis avec courage et détermination. Le Burkina Faso doit en être fier d'avoir un chef d'État aussi fort et dévoué.
Ces soi-disant amis du Burkina qui étaient là depuis longtemps, qui sucent nos richesses, même une seule cartouche de Kalachnikov, nous n'avons reçu de personne pour faire notre combat. C'est vous qui payez. Je vous le disais tantôt, certaines puissances ont refusé de nous vendre les équipements, ont bloqué les équipements que nous avons achetés dans certains pays parce qu'ils ont la licence de certains composants. Et ces puissances exploitent des minerais au Burkina Faso. Je le dis ici, haut et fort et solennellement. Ça va s'arrêter. Nous allons retirer des permis d'exploitation. Nous n'allons pas permettre cela. Vous ne pouvez pas exploiter nos ressources et refuser de nous vendre des équipements, faire bloquer nos équipements. Nous n'allons pas accepter qu'ils s'attendent. Nous allons récupérer nos permis d'exploitation et nous allons l'exploiter nous-mêmes. A essayé de faire comme ça, mais il est où? Il est mort. Le président haïtien, il a essayé de faire comme ça, il est où? Il est mort. Kadhafi a essayé comme ça, il est où? Il est mort. Voilà des propos qu'on nous tient de manière voilée pour nous faire peur. Et pire, nous voyons aussi souvent certains jeunes essayer d'emboîter le pas d'une autre manière. On peut les entendre dire « telle personne a régné ainsi, il est à la CPI. Telle personne a régné ainsi, il est en prison. » Tout ça pour essayer de nous faire peur, pour qu'on devienne des lâches. Mais je pense qu'ils n'ont pas compris quelque chose. Quand nous disons la patrie ou la mort, nous vaincrons, ce n'est pas qu'une phrase. Ce n'est pas qu'une phrase, ça a tout son sens. Nous n'avons pas peur et nous n'aurons jamais peur. Nous continuerons notre lutte. Ils ont fait peur sûrement à beaucoup de chefs d'État africains. On fait tout pour que nous ayons peur. Ils viennent dans nos palais. Ils nous menacent directement ou des menaces voilées. Bien sûr, nous répondons comme il le faut. Ils prennent chaque fois des exemples. Ils nous diront, vous savez, Thomas Sankara a essayé de faire comme ça, mais il est où? Il est mort. Le président haïtien, il a essayé de faire comme ça, il est où? Il est mort. Kadhafi a essayé comme ça, il est où? Il est mort. Telle personne n'a rien ici, il est en prison. Tout ça pour essayer de nous faire peur, pour qu'on devienne des lâches. Mais je pense qu'ils n'ont pas compris quelque chose. Quand nous disons la patrie ou la mort, nous vaincrons. Ce n'est pas qu'une phrase, ça a tout son sens. Nous n'avons pas peur et nous n'aurons jamais peur.
Welcome, everyone. My goodness, I see. Let's see here. M. Goose. Honneur, respect. Qui j'en ai? Jacques. appears they disappeared. I'm reading the comments for a moment. Welcome, everyone, to the Free Haiti 2024 celebration, commemoration of the only revolution on this planet where the oppressors were taken down and the oppressed won. Thank you for coming. This is my 24th year doing this. I'm going to try to play something. So I wanted to make this about not just Haiti, but Black August, which takes into account, of course, the greatest revolution that ever was. And I wanted you to also remember George Jackson. The man was only 19 years old when he was arrested for stealing $70. And they gave him 1 year to life. He spent 11 years in prison for $70. And so that's really what Black August is about. Black August in America, of course, started with the assassination of George Jackson. And I think that was 1979. And I gave you a little glimpse of it. So we're going to do three different presentations. Today, I want to get to know you. I want you to ask me questions. I have done Bokaima Buinan for so long that I really don't know what people don't know. So it would be a good thing. Anyone who want to ask a question, let's see how many people we have here. We are on, I think, Facebook and Instagram. And I want to spend some time with you guys today, see how much we can talk about. Have to go to another screen to see how many people are here. I thought I gave you guys enough time to gather, because a lot of times when I get here, but what you just saw was Mumia. You see, because it started with George Jackson. And then by the 80s, they were incarcerating our men by the dozens. And as much as people try to say that electoral politics is the end all be all, those who live on the backs of those men, like George Jackson and Mumia, forget him. And today I did not want to forget George Jackson. I did not want to forget our political prisoners. And this is, for me, a prayer for Mumia, that he does not die in prison. Mumia Abdul Jamar. And I wanted you to hear his work about Haiti, his solidarity. Today, what's happening in Haiti is something I've been warning Haitians about for a long time. And I was hoping we never got here. I was hoping that the vampires did not raise the violence level of Haiti. Since 2004, if you go back to my work, you will see I have been talking about how Haiti had one of the lowest violence rate. And today we have men who are terrorists like ISIS. We have men who are Boko Haram. This is not natural for Black men. And I have to tell you guys that I watched it happen, but there was not enough vibration that was like mine's or the men of the 60s in the America, like George Jackson and Mumia, folks who stood up. We have now a capitalist system where folks really believe that the rule of law is our liberation. And I always ask, whose law? It's the rule. The United States Constitution was written by slaveholders. Their laws were written by slaveholders. And they have something called precedent. And in those precedents, they maintain their system. And then they have backlash every time that people get together and try to change that system. Recently, the United States brought Kenya to Haiti. And of course, you know, I filed a lawsuit against Kenya. Against the puppet government of Haiti. At that time, it was Ariel Henry. So that's what we did. But the interesting thing, of course, is that the media never talks about my work. They marginalize our work. So you heard the case that was in Kenya, but you did not hear the case that Esli Dantor and Evel Fanfan and Haitian lawyers brought, because the U.S. has to crush us, like Mumia just told you. And for those of you who don't, speak French, the modern day Dessalines, because I think it's very important to understand that spiritually, we have to look at what's happening to us and concentrate on the positive. So before I even start on the Bokai Mambo Inan ceremony that began the Haitian Revolution, I want to tell you the two things in Haiti that are lights that you'll never hear about. And then I'm going to tell you those in the international community who are really in solidarity with us. You saw Abraham Traore, and I actually stopped it at the point where to me, we lost since the death of Patrice Lumumba. We've had a bunch of collaborators. And those collaborators in Africa and those collaborators in America since the death of Martin and Malcolm have led us to this death that we are living right now, where first we had a Black man named Obama who became the chief of white supremacy. And now they're looking to take Kamala Harris to make her the chief of white supremacy. This is how far back we are. And then you have Haiti that has gone backwards since 2004, the bicentennial. And now we have a bunch of men who are armed by the Syrian Lebanese, who are less than 1% of the population and who control nearly 98% of the wealth. Let me see if I can, behind me, I'm going to show you the book we're doing with General Toya, the Maroons. That's a young Dessalines. She's the adopted mother of Jean-Jacques Dessalines. And today I'm going to talk to you about what it is we need to do to live within this vibration that, you know, Roland Poland, whatever his, you know, Roland Martin is pushing on us, and the Black collaborators are pushing on us from Haiti, who are part of the non-for-profit folks So last, I think it was a couple of months ago when I filed this lawsuit. I want to start with that because no one's going to tell you about it. But what we were watching before, let's see if I can put it back, is we were watching a video for African Liberation Day in the Sahel in Burkina Faso. And the children, and I really, really love this. The children in Burkina Faso had the flags of those three nations that have confederated. As you know, this is what we need to do in Africa. We need to get rid of all of the lines of the Berlin Conference and come together as one so we can look outwards together, not losing our different cultures and ethnicities, but to come as one so that we have one currency, one military to look outwards and protect our resources and protect our women, our children, our boys, our men. And I think Ibrahim Traoré and the AES, the Sahel Confederation, is probably the most promising thing I have seen for a long time. And so I did not want to start just with Haitian history. For me, Haitian history means nothing unless you are able to apply it. Black August means nothing with regards to our honoring Mumia and the tens and thousands that we don't even know, hundreds of thousands of falsely accused and incarcerated Black men and women in America. And so this is reason why I started with Mumia. Good evening, Mike. Good evening. Let's see. Let me look at who's here. No, I'm supposed to be able to put some people. Okay. Let's see. Shirley, Maman Chérie, vous voyez Haïti, oui. I'm answering the call. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you that are here. Always understand that it takes a very important, it takes a different energy to look at evil and not bow. So all of you who are listening to Ezeli, it's always going to be that handful, and no matter how long I waited, it's always going to be that handful. So let's make this count for you. All right. Number one, message that I want to say to all freedom fighters, all of you who know what is going on in the prison system in America, what is going on in imperialism in Haiti, how they plunder our resources, how they come together to destroy us, and then they use house Negroes to give a face as if there's justice. So they're running around to have this so-called president. But let's see if I can do this. So please share this. We're going to be here. And if I got some good questions, I may even send a link to you guys to have you come in and talk to the rest of the folks. Let's see. Yes, Ronald. Fake wars. It's his nature, actually, to do what he does. It's absolutely his nature. But we still don't understand that. Since the death and assassination of Lumumba, Africa has stood still and millions of us have died. Since 1804, so many Haitian right now, right as I sit right here, there is a Haitian drowning in this hostile American Mediterranean because the Mahafa for us has never stopped. All right. Let me see. Maybe I'll send you the link, Mike, and you could tell me who it is that is asking good questions, because I'm not sure I can do all of it. Let's see, Mike Grimes. I don't know if it'll work. Can you see that, Mike? Not sure. All right. So let's see. Share screen. Share screen. I think we saw some of this. I don't see. I wanted to show you not this because we've already heard it. I wanted to see if I can comment. If I can yes, okay, let's see. Let me hide this here. Let me see if I can move this up. Why isn't it moving? Okay. Add to stage. Let's see if okay. So I wanted to go back here. Those children say that this is the struggle in Haiti, in Congo, in the Sahel states are the same. This is what we have to understand. And the struggle and oppression in America is internal imperialism, domestic imperialism. It's the same. So we have, for instance, in Haiti, the 98% of the local wealth owned by Syrian Lebanese whites, and the greatest apartheid that you never hear about, but no one wants to talk about that. So I actually have this video on my Instagram because I'm not able to send it to show you the rest of it, but it just showed those young boys for African Liberation Day this past May. They passed around the flag of Niger, the flag of Burkina Faso, the flag of Mali, and then they passed the flag of Haiti. And so, Haitien, if you're listening to me, if I know many of you are very, very sad right now because of what's going on, how it is us that's killing each other right now on behalf of the imperialists for various reasons. Just know that we have friends in the Congo. We have friends in spaces that see us, that see those of us like the Esli Network that fight back. They do see us. And so I thought that was the most very, very important thing. So we don't want to see that. Stop. So remove from studio. Okay. So let's see. Let me just look at who's here for a minute, and then I want to talk to you about how long how long is this going to take for us as we see people going into electoral politics, pushing the rule of their law that has kept Mumia Abu Jamal in prison for over, I think, 40 years, since the 82, I believe, that incarcerated a 19-year-old George Jackson for 70 cents, excuse me, $70 for 11 years until he died. This is not the rule of law. This is the rule of tyranny. And I want us to understand that electoral politics is not our way out. It's not our way to liberation. Power only respect power, which is the theme of what we're doing today. So without our own power, people, what our ancestors, it was 300 years of enslavement, 300 since 1503. But yet the Africans who became Haitian still believed in their own power. And so what is our excuse today? 300 years of being breeded like we were livestock, forced to have sex with your could be your mother, your sister, to endure butt breaking of the pedophile European. And then today, when I read their academics' history about Haiti, which is why I stand here, to give you the non-colonial narrative on Haiti, when I see that their history books are trying to tell you that we freed ourselves, yes, but then we became tyrants against our own people. The minimization of what it was that Jean-Jacques Dessalines and Henri Christophe and the women and men of the Haitian Revolution, our ancestors, did, is really what most of the academic books are about. And so recently, as I was saying, I was looking for it. I wrote the background to I helped write the background to the case of the Kenyans. and it was a good thing, a very good thing. And you all can see right now how in Kenya, these same policemen who are coming to us are killing their own people, So let me see, why isn't that shared? I wanted to share this tab. Okay, maybe I have to get off of the screen first. But you may find that case on my website. all the way down from Angola, Cameroon, Dahomey. Behind me, you see the general that you guys will never hear about, General Toya, who was the adopted mother of Jean-Jacques Dessalines, taught him how to fight in the way of the Dahomey Agojis. And so we have that situation where the enslaved Africans, they would work in these grisly conditions on these plantations to produce raw materials, to produce cotton, sugar, tobacco, and coffee. So one of the points I always like to make that you're not going to find in the books is that this 13-year war that started 233 years ago today, August 14th, 1791, by the time it was over, half the population had been killed. So Haiti started with 250,000 Africans. And so one of the things that the European loves to write about is how Dessalines never believed their phantoms of liberty. You see how all of these Africans today are trying to live within the linear hierarchical way of the European, how he'll go to his schools and either he'll give you Marxism or capitalism. It's all the way they live, right? I've been saying for decades that our way of life is different. And Haiti is combite, la cour, jardin, vive, right? And it's actually when Haitians' backs are against the wall right now with the Vive Ensemble terrorists that are armed by Haiti's corrupt politicians, House Negro politicians, or the Syrian Lebanese, or the United States, because we don't manufacture guns, right? So the guns go to them. That's why I played for you that piece from Ibrahim Traore, where he said, they, like France and United States, they always going to these countries because they're going to take care of terrorists. I don't know if I can see it. I don't know which one it is. Let me see. But at the end of the day, like he said, they didn't take care of any terrorists. And I want you to remember that when you see the Kenyans, right? Go look at the violence rate right now as the Kenyans started in, I think, June 25th, right? Whenever foreign troops come in, being directed by these white vampires, the violence rate is going to just go up. The rape is going to go up. You know how we dealt with Minister, the UN. And that's exactly all they know how to do, is maintain violence in our neighborhoods the same way they do in inner city America, and it's become normalized. And so I wanted you to see that clip where he said, they act like they've come to save us, but no, they haven't. They just come to rob us. And I don't know how many more years it's going to take for Africans to just understand that. So 250,000 we started with. And then when you read their books, they're always talking about the 3,000 Frenchmen that Dessalines executed. You see, then Dessalines said in his Act of Independence, and I urge all Black men to read that, because in his Act of Independence and in his 1805 Constitution, those are like really important documentation of what revolution is. So because he got rid, because he beat Napoleon, because our ancestors beat Napoleon, and then we had to pay for all the lives that were killed during the war. So we faced 300 years of enslavement, where Black men get raped by these perverts. Black women are breeded to have children that are going to be sold away. They brand you the minute you get off the ship. And then when we went against them in combat, leaving 50,000 British in the waters of Haiti and 70 or more French, they made us pay for those lives, not our life. And for 122 years, as you guys know, Haiti paid and paid. And now, since 2004, the bicentennial, the Clintons and the whole duopoly have decided that we can't have an island of our own and be free. They've got to come and take it, because Haiti has the second largest iridium deposit, gold, and a lot of important portals that we're going to be talking about in the second half. It's now, so I just wanted to go there and talk to you a little bit about what we've had to deal with, right? 250,000 we started, and then we had to pay for the Europeans that we beat because they were oppressing us, right? And I promise you that justice is coming to these vampires. As I live and breathe, justice is coming for them. Because when I think of what Mumia Abdul-Jabbar has had to deal with, and George Jackson and all of the Black women's children all over this planet, constantly not being able to participate in the abundance that is the universe. You know, we have to decide, is it not time to do what Dessalines did, give them back? Like Dessalines said in his constitution, I have given the massacre for massacre, but that's not really true. He could not possibly have killed as many as they killed. And then after they did that, Napoleon was so mad, he retaliated in France against any Black they found. And of course, America did the same thing in Virginia, right? So Black August, we remember Nat Turner, who in August, because of the Haitian Revolution, he started his revolt in August of 1831. And we know that his mother was Haitian. Denmark Vesey planned to kill his masters in the way of Jean-Jacques Dessalines and the women of the Haitian Revolution, and then come find sanctuary in Haiti. This is the reason they're scared of us. And this is the reason they have traumatized our men to the point where these folks are killing their own and at a level that I have never seen before. And I don't think it's natural. I really believe, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of toxicity in these minds, because before this explosion of violence in Haiti, after the US and its allies murdered Jean-Jacques Dessalines, murdered Jovenel Moïse. And you saw, right? You saw, I played it because I wanted you to see what Burkina Faso guy was saying, right? He was saying that they have come to him and they essentially have said to him, you see what happens when African leaders try to go to Russia as an alternative to the Western Eurasians? They die like, you know, what they accused Lumumba of. They die like Sankara, and he said they die like Jovenel Moïse. And you know, I was so happy to hear him say that, because I've been saying this since they killed Jovenel Moïse. as you could see with the farce of a so the FBI has come to IET and they're doing the case, right? And the case is secured, or we don't know exactly what they're doing. So their agents, Colombian, U.S. trained Colombian military. Colombian is a client state of the United States. The DEA, the FBI, and the CIA helped kill this man because, as I said in that piece, 1 month after he went to Turkey, which is not far away from Russia, the United States, made sure that he was dead. And then out of the blue, I find a video where Abraham Traore is essentially saying, hey, listen, they are threatening me. I'm going to see if I can find it, just to find that one in particular. I believe I let you watch it before, but for those who maybe didn't understand the French, he was saying essentially that the Europeans and the Americans have come to him at his palace, and they told him that what he's doing, which is getting rid of the Western Europeans, the French and the Americans, from his nation, and he called in Russia, and they said to him that what you're doing, you're going to get killed for it. And they told him he's going to get killed for it, like Jovenel Moïse just got killed, like Mumia, no, not Mumia Abdul-Jabbar, but Muammar Gaddafi got killed, like Sankara got killed. So essentially, they have threatened Abraham Traore. And all of you, I want you to pay really close attention, because this man deserves our support. He is, like I said, the modern day Dessalines. Since the death of Lumumba, we honestly have not had folks like this. And so it's critically important that in this day today, as we celebrate the Vodun ceremony that began the Haitian Revolution, that we look at where we are, who in the world right now that has the courage and the fearlessness of the Haitian revolutionaries. Is that you, Thierry Ogu? Did I see you here? Did you get in?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I can hear you. I'm going to try to see if I can put you on. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. I was just talking about the modern day Dessalines and how I was just showing this video. Let me see if I can find it. Where Abraham Traore essentially said that the European came to him. Let me see if this is the one. Let me see.
Pour que nous ayons peur, ils viennent dans nos palais, ils nous menacent directement, ou des menaces voilées.
He says they came to his palace and they threatened him directly.
Bien sûr, nous répondons comme il le faut.
Certainly, I responded as I should.
Ils prennent chaque fois des exemples. Ils nous diront, vous savez, Thomas Sankara a essayé de faire comme ça, mais il est où? Il est...
They told him, and they gave him the white man who came to him in his palace at Burkina Faso said to him that we're going to give you examples of what's going to happen to you. These are the people running around talking about law and order and justice and democracy. They went to the man's house in his country. They can't stand when you get rid of them. For 233 years, they have made Haiti pay for getting rid of them. And so what they're saying to him and what he's saying is that they have essentially said to him that, let me see the examples. Listen to the examples he give, right? He says they told him what happened to Africans who try to get out from under European imperialism is death. He said that the people that he mentioned, for instance, had an alliance with what the United States call their enemies, Putin and Russia and so forth. So they're saying to him directly, listen, this is what he says. Okay. And I thought, you know what? I can go into the Haiti history. I have 20 years of it on the internet that you guys can find, but let's really focus on Abraham Traoré. Let's focus on Dessalines. And then I want to show you there's one Haitian man that rises above all of the other terrorists and house Negroes that are right now calling themselves they have 9 presidents that they put together. It's a joke while the people are dying. And then there's this Vive Ensemble group of gangs that have put themselves together. So there are 3, Haiti and Haitien have 3 specific enemies right now. The first and highest is the European, and they call themselves the core group. They're made up former enslavers that our ancestors got out of Haiti. They are 6 nations. They call themselves the core group. And as I work with my brothers and sisters in the Congo, and remember, a lot of Haitian came from the Congo. As I work for my brothers and sisters in the Congo, right? The only other place on this planet that they have a core group of mafia ambassadors that have come together the way that the Berlin Conference of Ministers came together to divide Haiti and its resources. Those 6 nations, I always say, the United States, France, Canada, Germany, Spain, and then Brazil. All right. And then it's like Leclerc's army has come and sat on us, right? Remember that big armada that Leclerc came with in 1802? He thought, he had his sister come with all her dresses. The little whore thought that she was going to have a good time killing Haitians. And then they met Tantoyas' son, Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Now I'm looking at this man right here, who at least this is what he's saying. They're saying to him, okay? So I want all the Pan-Africanists to pay attention.
Il est mort. Le président haïtien, il a essayé de faire comme ça, il est où? Il est mort.
He says the Haitian president tried to have a relationship outside of the Western vampires. He is where? He is dead.
Kadhafi a essayé comme ça, il est où? Il est mort. Telle personne n'a rien ici, il est en prison. Tout ça pour essayer de nous faire peur, pour qu'on devienne des lâches. Mais je pense qu'ils n'ont pas compris.
They're trying to make us be fearful so that we can become, these indecent people, like the ones that take up arms against their own people. And he says, that's not going to happen to him. And I honor on this day, on August 14th, 2024, I honor this man for what he's standing for. And if all my ancestors who have never died, who are still here, they hear me when I say that this man needs to be protected, that Africa needs to be what he says, the United States of Africa. All of them have got to look outwards together. And so outdo Black America, right? Because they're using immigration so that they can have their little wars while the 1% stay at the top and continue to use us. So we have to look outwards together. So I just wanted to see, I think this is also on my Instagram if you guys want to finish seeing it. But I absolutely wanted you to know why it's important. This, for the last 20 years, 24 years, I have taught the most important thing about the Vodun gathering that began the Haitian Revolution. And all of you know, Bookman's prayer, where he says, throw away the image of the white man's God and listen to the voice of liberty within your hearts, right? Mumble Inun, the priestess who presided with Bookman, she was from the Congo, and she said, and this is the template for free Haiti. And I say it all the time, and I must say it now, right? She said, Kanga Mandele, Kanga Bafioti, Kanga Najoki, Kanga Yoso. Remember, I told you a great percentage of the Africans, they came from the Congo. We're coming back together because once the Congo, which is so big within Africa, stop the killing. You guys know since 1996, they've killed 6 million Africans in the Congo. So they're going through what we're going through in Haiti. And we've reached out to them the way we've reached out to the Kenyans, the way we've reached out to the Sahel. And I am here to tell you, Haitien, you are not alone. We have folks in Africa who know that we fight back and that these restavex, these coons do not represent us. And so let's see, I have with me here Ogugine, my man. Let me just work this thing for a minute. Let's see if I can remember how to do that. Okay, so okay, where are you? Where are you, Thierry?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. Is that on purpose? If it's on purpose, it's okay.
No, it's not on purpose. Sure.
Just put your camera in. So yeah, as you get that together, I want folks to know this man named Muscadin. To me, we just have to get rid of. There's three enemies that we have to get rid of. This system elevates them in different ways, right? In Haiti, the very first one is the core group, okay? And I'm working on my own space as a lawyer with the Congo, because I told you the Congo also have the core group, and they divide all the resources among themselves and they let my people die. And of course, it's against every law that they put out, right? They're supposed to be neutral. They're not supposed to be greedy vampires. And so the core group, and I've already explained to you who and what they are. You can't get your camera on, Thierry?
No.
Okay. All right. So, and then the other one is, what do you call them? So the Syrian Lebanese, these were Frenchmen, French subjects out of the Ottoman Empire. And now they've become the bane of our existence. They're allowed to control everything in Haiti economically. And so the Haitian diaspora have got to step up, nationalize the ports that they own. That's bringing in all of these guns going to these emaciated men in the populous neighborhoods who are now kidnapping and they learn all that from the Brazilians and all those folks that came to Haiti for 13 years. So this is what we're dealing with, right? And then so we have what they call the gangs, which we call terrorists, militias that are armed, and then you have the Syrian Lebanese, and then you have the core group. Okay, that's what we have to get rid of on IET, and we're very clear about that. And because we're clear about what we have to get rid of, and because we clear that electoral politics, because everybody says, oh, Gary Cornell, the imported prime minister, is going to do elections and that's some sort of magic pill. No, their election is fake. Their democracy is fake, right? The duopoly gives you the illusion of a choice, and then that's what they do. So let me, Theory, you want to come in here?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You definitely,
I can't
you want to greet the people? You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Now, listen, people. I'm always looking for Ogu, right? The warrior, the father, that male figure that actually takes responsibility. And Thierry has a Vodun society right here in Florida. And he's been part of the network for a very, very long time. And so, wherever you want to go, right? As I work to put some other stuff up here and read the questions, why don't you talk to the people and okay, so the two lights in IET are those men and women who decide that self-defense is a human right, and if there's no government to protect them, they will form communities to protect themselves. And one of the most important one is in the south of Haiti. He stands as a sentinel. His name is Muscadin, and there's no gangs in the south of Haiti because of him. We need 1,000 more Muscadin. That's our light. The second light in Haiti is that for years I've been saying that we are a maroon nation. After the assassination of Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Pétion put together a republic. Remember what I told you about the rule of law? Like, whose law? At least Dessalines did the 1805 Constitution, and it was organic. It was laws that were created that met the situation of our ancestors. But since then, the law is the law of the 1%. And they have that, and that means, the 13th Amendment in America still makes legal slavery. That means that, like I said, George Jackson, a 19-year-old, this is why we're celebrating and honoring and asking for release of political prisoners, like this 19-year-old in 1970 something who just stole $70 and he ended up getting 1 year to life. What kind of law is that? So the light in Haiti is when Haitians, they go back inside and they remember Combit, Lacour, Jardin, Vive, which is who and what we are as a maroon nation. Because the state, the republic, it only comes and taxes us and provides no services. So how did our ancestors, my grands, survive so that I'm here, so that Ogu Guinée is here? It's because they had a system that came all the way from Africa. And you could see it in Africa. You could see it in the Caribbean. And it's collective work, collective economics. And it's laku, you know, you live in family on these plots of lands, and you can't really sell those lands because they rotate from one generation to the other. There's a field connected to that land, and you rotate, or however the démembrement, the family works it. Those who have better hands at being farmers are that, and then the rest of the family pitches in, and what they make goes to the family in general, and that's laku. If you guys want to see how that is our soul in Haiti, and I've been saying it, but people thought I was being abstract. But once these gangs and the United States created all the destabilizing stuff of killing Jovenel and destroying all the institutions like the Supreme Court, the Parliament, the executive, we have none of that. The Haitian people went back to Laku, Combit. And if any of you have not seen the Wanamet space where they're building canals in order to have water to irrigate and go back to farming so that they can have food sovereignty, that's the second light in Haiti. So I'd like to lift those things up. And I don't know if you have anything to add or tell us about what you see as a light, Thierry?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the ancestors and all the cosmic forces that I'm surrounded by for allowing me to be here with you tonight. I'd like to thank you, Azili, for giving me the privilege to be on this platform. I feel very honored to be amongst you all tonight. I know you've touched up on a lot of things. We in the Laku right now doing our thing, so I won't be staying too long. But I just wanted to come by and say hello and bring some words, of encouragement on this special day today, August the 14th, which marks the 233rd year since our ancestors got together at Boakaima or Boakaimambo Inan to decide their fate, to decide what was gonna be next for them and their progeny. So I came here amongst you all very humbly, thankfully to my ancestors, and very hopeful for the future. Many of us are complaining or running around with our heads bowed down. Many of us are finding ourselves, in suffering, and suffering and pain, not knowing what tomorrow will bring, not knowing how the next day is going to be, not knowing how our children are going to be fed, and so on. Same thing with the Haitian ancestors. They had a lot of things to worry about back then. They had things on their minds. They didn't know what was going to come, But one thing they decided to do was not to wait on the God or on the Jesus, to come down and break the shackles and set him free. They realized that they had to become gods themselves. And this is also what we need to do here as a people, as Black people, as indigenous people. Today is a day for us to not only celebrate and commemorate, not only as Haitian people, but as Africans, because what the Haitian ancestors did.
Sorry, go on. I'm sorry, go on. The
Yeah.
Haitian ancestors did.
What we did, what the ancestors did, they didn't do it only for their own people, for those who were living on the island, but they did it for all Africans, all of us who are children of Africa, who were subjugated, who were under the yoke of slavery or bondage. So it was something that they did for all of us. And today, it needs to be, I believe, we need to grab that spirit again. We need to find a way to really bring among us, that spirit of, you know, uh, warrior spirit. We need to stop walking around with our heads down. We need to stop, being hopeless. If the Haitian ancestors did it 200 something years ago, we could do it today, because as we all know, there's still slavery going on.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
That's okay. That's all right. So we all know we're still living in bondage today, because I always tell my friends and those close to me, if you're not spiritually free, you are a slave, no matter what you look, the way you look at it. And many of us here are walking around, still under the yoke, still mentally, colonized, you know, in bondage. So I believe it is time for us to, gather ourselves, for us to find a way, to come together, for us to put all our differences aside, cultural, social, political, and so on, and realize we have all one thing in common. Not only people of African descent, but we are looking for the same thing: a better tomorrow, happiness, a way to be able to feed ourselves and our families, a way to make a living, to live freely like the others are doing. We came here to this planet not to live as slaves, but to live as free men. And the ancestors came to that conclusion, and they did what was needed. So many of us are still living under tyrannical government, under oppressive government. Many of us are still, dealing with the craziness, with, racism, with bigotry day in and day out. Many of us aspire to a better world. But in order for that to happen, we have to use the model that the ancestors used 233 years ago when they gathered together at Boakaima to do what they did. There's no freedom without us being united, without unity. It is time for us to realize that we all have a common enemy. And one thing the enemy is good at is to divide and conquer. We have been conquered for way too long. We have been divided for way too long. We have to find a way to put a stop to all this nonsense. We have to find a way to come together and realize we are all one. The enemy, when you mess with one of them, you mess with all of them. It's being expressed clearly in front of us all. Look at what's going on now with Ukraine and Russia. You see all of them rallying up behind Ukraine for one common cause. This is exactly what we need to do on our end, on our side. You touch one, you touch all of us. We have to find a way to come together. We have to find a way to put our resources together. We have to stop letting the enemy divide us. We have to stop focusing on the differences, but we need to start focusing on the things that make us whole, that unite us all together. So I'm hoping tonight those of you who are here listening can understand this little message. It's nothing that you have not heard before, but I think in this day and age, it is more than necessary now to realize that we have to do this for ourselves. We have to do it for our children, for the next generation. We have to do better. This whole world is turning upside down. We're facing World War III, all kind of nonsense going on. We have to find a way to come together and find a way out together. That's the only way to become resilient. That's the only way to survive this Armageddon. That's the only way to make it out there, by becoming one. This Pan-Africanism that we keep talking about, it's time that we make it a reality. It needs to be materialized among us. We need to stop fighting each other. We need to stop looking at those things that divide us. But let's focus more on the things that make us one, that unite us. I'm gonna stop it here because I have to run back to the guys, in the LACU, But again, I want to thank you all for listening to these few words. I want to thank you, Ezeli, for the things that you're doing with us, with our people, especially with the younger generation. You have a lot of people looking up to you, listening to you, and paying attention. This is a different time and era that we're living in. This is a time of truth and transformation. So things cannot be hidden from us again. The things that were hidden from us years ago have to come forward. They have to come forth. They have to be revealed. So let's work together. Let's transform each other. Let's find the truth together. And let's make this a better world. Only us can do it. The other guys cannot, because it's not in their DNA. It's not in their genetics. It is in us. Only the indigenous people of this planet can make things better for this planet, the whole planet. Again, I say thank you for having me. Aibobo, Awashinago, Ashe.
Thank you. Thank you for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. And definitely, agite de l'eau pour moi, l'orive la cour, dans la cour.
Okay, we'll do. You got it.
Listen, people, okay, we have a few more minutes, and I wanted to show you what the next couple of pieces are going to be about. So, 521 years since 1503, when the first boatload of Africans were taken into Haiti. And, you know, as we remember Black August, Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey, Nat Turner's mother, 1619, which, you know, was an August day when they when they put the first boatload of African to what is called the United States. As remember all of that travesty, we also want to remember this, and we're going to talk about some of those things. And I'm going to finish up with talking about how before 1791, there were precursors to revolution. Like today, all of you who are here, you're here because you are the precursor to when this thing blows up. And you are always going to be that energy that doesn't bow. In the time of 300 years, there was the first woman, queen. Her name is Anakauna. Her husband, Kaunabo. Her brother, Bohikio. And then Cacique. These were, and you know, they want to tell you that there were no blacks in Africa, in Haiti. But you know, we are original to the planet. And a lot of these people are Africans, because what else would they be? So Ana Kaona, and then we're going to talk about a little bit of Padre Jean. And the reason why this year I want to make the second teaching about Padre Jean and Dakar, number 5, is because there are portals in Haiti. And I've stayed away from talking about those things that are mysterious. But I will, you know, some of you who follow me, I've already told you at Port-au-Paix, at the top of the northern tip of Haiti, beneath it, there are sun pyramids, because Haiti sits on top of an ancient city. Some people say the old city of Atlantis. And Padre Jean had the first, he was an enslaved person from Africa, the Congo actually, who ran away, and then he got lost in those waters of Port-au-Paix and found those portals and created a peristyle, a portal to open. And it's called Vilocan. I'm sorry. That space is very important in Port-au-Paix. Below, you see number 4 is Dakar, and it's also in Port-au-Paix. You guys can look it up on the map. It's at the tip of the northern, across from Cuba, like the northern, okay? And if you look at Cuba and you look at, for the blue pyramids, then you will see you will see a comparable to the pyramids that hum under Haiti. And we always remember Zumi and his wife Dandara, because they rebelled, and for almost 80 years they had a maroon state in Brazil. Of course, Queen Nzinga, we can't forget her, because when I tell you that the priestess at Mambo Inan, whose energy was Ezeli Dantar, who came in first, she is a descendant of Queen Nzinga and Prophetess Kempavita. And one of the things I've been saying for the last few years is, those of you who follow my work, is that they use the Catholic Church as a weapon. They use the confessionals as a, and we're going to talk more about that. We're going to talk about the relationship of Jean-Jacques Dessalines and his two brothers, Louis and Joseph. We're going to talk about where he was born, because there's this whole controversy. These white folks are trying to say he was born in Africa. So that's kind of what I wanted to bring to your attention. That's coming up on Saturday and Sunday. Okay. And also, like I said, if you guys have any question, but before 1791, there was Makanda.
La suivre là, ça c'est statue. Et là, nous on a pris style là, on a parlé tout tap gagné, il y a un temps, il y a fleurs, il y a rosiers, un peu l'autre bagage là-dedans.
Makandal, 1758, he was executed, but he had killed thousands of white folks by poisoning them. And today, when folks talk to me about we have nothing in our hands, well, listen, the universe is your weapon. So this is a picture of inside the plantation, where, and you guys who've been with me, you know what it looks like, because I show it all the time. It was the Norman de Mézil plantation. That's where the revolution started. And on that plantation right now, this is the inside of the Vodun temple. And they have there Makandal, because this is a picture, a rendering of Makandal. Makandal was a man who was enslaved, and at some point he was working those sugar mills, and he lost his arm inside there. And then they put him to be in charge of the livestock, because he could no longer work with one arm. So as he was in the fields coming from the Congo, this is his wife, Brigitte. She was a master herbalist. So they came together, and there was a band of Dantos, Black women within the church. These Black women came from the Congo and the Dahomey. They worked together to poison the rapists, to give those who cooked the right ingredients, right? And I say that for a reason today, because we have to use what's in our hands to do what's necessary for our liberation, and they did. So let's look inside because where Mambo Inan was on August 14th, 233 years ago, a forest not far from this plantation, because they all came from that plantation, and so did Makandal. Okay. And let's look a little bit about that before this is okay.
Dans les grands, la suivre là, ça c'est statue. Et là, nous on a pris style là, on a parlé tout tap gagné, il y a un temps, il y a fleurs, des rosiers, un peu l'autre bagage là-dedans. Là, nous avons un cochon. C'est cochon qui était enrongé dans la nuit du 14 août 1791. Là, nous avons Mambo Inan.
All right, so this is a rendering of the woman Na Cecile Fatima, Mambo Inan, who was the priestess. As I said, her call. So Boukman is famous for the prayer. Okay, and I hope you guys learn that prayer. It's very important. Teach it to your children. It began the Haitian Revolution. She is known for the call. Kanga, in the Kinkongo language of the Congo, it means kill, neutralize, marginalize, stop. And 3 things to stop. That's all you have to understand about white supremacy. And it was this Black woman at this gathering that gave the order. Kill Mandela. Mandela is the stranger. Remember, we populated the planet and saw ourselves as family. So Mandela in the Kinkongo language means stranger. Kill the stranger, which meant the colonists or any African who had disconnected himself from source, any Black collaborator. So the second one was Bafioti, which is Black collaborator. And the third is and all his evil forces, because as Neely Fuller says, as Dr. Henry Clark says, every level of human activity this vampire uses for domination, whether it's sex, religion, media, the law, all of it. And so those are the forces she said we had to stop. And they did stop it. And they created Combit Lakou Jardin Vive, and they created a Maroon nation that had nothing to do with the Games of Thrones that's going on to this day in Port-au-Prince as these suited house Negroes with no economics. All the economics is in the hand of the Syrian Lebanese. But they feel like if they can become president, then they can use the bribes that they get to provide contracts to help their families. And they call that a nation. That is not a nation. All right, we're going to see this.
C'est mon boy. Imam. Un beau imam. Okay?
I'll have some pictures for you. This was from a couple of years ago for today. What's happening there today? Okay. Okay. What did it do?
Had lost one arm.
Okay. So this is I did Tariq Nasheed, before he went. I don't know what he went. I did his show 1804. And I was talking here about Makandal.
Makandal is considered to be the precursor to the 1791 beginning, because Makandal was an enslaved African who worked at a plantation, and then he died in 1757 or 1758. But he freed himself, right? Some people say that he had lost one arm in a sugar mill accident. But essentially, the legend of Makandal is interesting because he foretold what would happen with regards to the Haitian Revolution.
He was this extraordinary herbalist. And what he did, he taught the people of Haiti, the Africans, how to use the herbs and fauna in the ecology that they're now in to poison the food of the white farmers. And he was very successful.
And so Makandal went, took to the hills, and he would teach the kitchen people how to poison their masters.
They had nature on their side, and that's very important. They used nature as one of their greatest weapons. They knew the terrain, they understood the terrain, they understood botany, they understood toxicology, they understood poisons, they understood, and that's what Vodun is. Vodun is a science. Vodun is not just a spiritual system.
The Bafioti means the Black collaborators. They had to get them out of their face first. Makandal, what he's really known, a lot of what he went after them first. Before he poisoned the European, he poisoned the black collaborators. No, they were all in the House Negroes. Come on.
Okay, so I think you can see these are the House Negroes right now. You see this gun? This is not some. This is some military grade stuff, and it's coming from the United States. These are the Syrian Lebanese who control 98% of the local economy that you will never hear or see anywhere. So Bijou, all of the ones you're looking at right now, they've been sanctioned. You see how the European plays with you? They sanction them because they are financing the gangs. Since when do you economically sanction someone who's the author of murder and kidnap? In any real world, they would be arrested for murder as organized mafia bosses. And they're sitting around living in their $1 million houses in Haiti, coming down on the mountains with helicopter. They never have to be part of traffic. This is their faces. And I know some of you who follow me, you've seen them before. Okay. So that's the Syrian Lebanese. And I wanted to show you in the world of the European, the Arabs were not seen as white, but they used them because obviously, before this, the Eastern Europe, the Western slave trade, it was 1,200 years of these people castrating black males and putting the women in harem, the ones that they didn't kill, and put in their slave armies. So they brought them to Haiti. And today, when you read the newspapers, when you listen to Haitian intellectuals, so-called, there's no mention of this. So I could not just talk to you about history. This is the U.S. arms these gangs. These are the core group. You understand? And then they take a Negro and they put him in chair the way you saw Biden put Ruto in a chair and make him king, and have the nerve to say that these people represent me or Dessalines' children. It's laughable. But look at this. Look at this. This is what they call gang. This is a paramilitary man who actually, you can see he's had military training. He's looking through his scope with a gun that's probably over $8,000. Where did he get it from? All right, people. I'm going to look to see if there's any questions. If not, I just want to tell you we are going to be talking about, let me see if I could find it. No, not that one. We're going to be talking next Saturday about the relationship of the men and women of the Haitian Revolution. Relationships that you will never know until you start following Ezeli Danton. For instance, right? The women of the Haitian Revolution, I think on Sunday, I'm going to talk about the betrayal. What happened between the Republic and the Maroon State? Because that's very important, because we still have it, right? We have the Republic, which is today the 9-headed presidents, that CARICOM, another bunch of coons, and the international community put together as leaders for IT, right? And then you have folks like me that are marginalized, whose voice is not heard anywhere, right? So we're going to be talking about how that played out back in 1791 to 1802, and how we seem to be constantly repeating the exact same mistakes. Like right now, as you all see, they are repeating the, as if Obama did not do what Obama did. You understand? So as if since the time of Martin, he did not say, I have integrated you all to a burning house. So we just keep doing the same thing. And I'm wondering, and I was waiting for a question before I got myself out of here. You guys got anything you want to know that I might be able to be, or you want to wait till next week? I wanted to just give you, for instance, a little snippet of the book that I'm doing for Jean-Jacques and Toya. I don't know if you guys can see that. Okay, did that? Okay, so I'm just gonna, okay, first I have to take this down, remove from the studio, and see if it will work. So I'm working for my Patreon and then on the Haitian women of the Haitian Revolution, and I wanted to show you. I'm actually looking for a good, because it's been very hard to find a good digital artist. But let me show you. See if I can find it. Okay. I don't know what was being shared because I didn't see anything. All right, so let's see if I can put it here at the top. So because I realized that nobody really reads, and I've been writing for a long time, I put together the story of Jean-Jacques and Toya in graphic form. And I'm hoping that some of you will support it. This is Toya. Remember I told you she was an Adoji, Amino, a mother, queen mother. Her and her crew were, right now what you're seeing is that they're being what do you call that? They were captured. And then when she got to Haiti, either her sister was Dessalines' mother. She was also she helped give birth to him. She was a healer in addition to being a warrior. I have let me see if I can find it. I show you my last thing before we leave. So I'm looking for digital artists. So anyone who knows a good one. I have 15 slides I'm doing for the story of Toya and Dessalines. And that's kind of what I'm working on right now. In addition to the Maroon State, I'm working on all of the men and women who were part of that Maroon State. So why don't we end, ladies and gentlemen, on this 233 anniversary of the gathering that began the Haitian Revolution. Before you go, I want you to go ahead and continue to share for next week. We don't have that many people here, so I'm not going to continue to stay, but here let's finish up with, I did this graphic of General Toya, right? She was an African woman, the real so-called, what they did, woman king. But really, the Dahomis and the Congos, they had a lot to do with how the revolution was fought and what were their values. And the most important values of these women was to do this laku, this family space, because obviously they had been losing their children for so many decades. They didn't want to work on large plantations. They wanted just a space where no white people, where they could have their family, where they can create together. And that's where we are. That's where we are. And why don't we end today, ladies and gentlemen, with my rendition of Toya, the general, and whose story I'm doing. Let's see. I'm going to stop this screen. All right, let me just look first before I leave. Let me just look at comments. Let's see. Is there a new one here? Oh. I'm just going to go through them real quickly. I know there are people on Instagram, but I have I really can't keep going back and forth to there. So Instagram, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it, all of you. Those of you who are on Facebook, how are these governments or nations going to have a war when they are all in it together oppressing? Well, they make money off of war, right? Bringing in the Kenyans is a way for the U.S. military industrial complex to make money. And that's all that matters to the capitalists. It doesn't matter about its profit over people, and it's always been. I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. I have no idea. If somebody knows, they can tell me. But for me, I just wanted to actually commemorate this day. Remember the union that's never, ever wavered in Haiti, which is the union of all the African nations becoming one. You don't see a Haitian saying, I'm Congolese, I'm Dahomian. They say I'm Haitian. So that was the union at Boakaima that has never wavered. That's because there's 3 lessons we always say. And then there's Bookman's prayer. And, to this day, every Haitian has a French name. And the first thing Bookman said is throw away those names. Throw away the image of the white man. But we got Jean-Pierre. They were branded as soon as they got off the Middle Passage with these Jean-Pierres. And they still have it. So you see how far away we are. And then, of course, the last one, Kanga Mandele, Kanga Bafioti, Kanga Najoki. I repeat it for the last 24 years. And you guys know, next time we come, I will play a little bit of the first reenactment that I ever did of the Boakaima ceremony. And that was in 2000. So that's 24 years ago. It's on YouTube. You guys can see it. So it's been a while. I'm still doing it. I hope it's worth it for you all. I do it for the ancestors. And if I have to stand alone until liberty comes, and that's exactly what I shall do. Thank you so much, people. Let's end with General Toya, the Maroon General from the Kingdom of Dahomey, who essentially taught Jean-Jacques Dessalines all that he needed to know so that he could fight and never, ever trust one word of the European, ever. And that's very hard to do, actually, because all their television, all the media is giving you a narrative, so that we're going to talk about it next time, cognitive dissonance, so that even when you hear the truth, your repetitive muscles in your mind won't allow you to believe the truth. So that's basically the story. Okay, I don't know where that went. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. So I created these pictures of a young Dessalines with Toya, and I'm still working. Thank you very much for being here. I will see you between 4 and 6 on Saturday and Sunday.
Lost your children.